Joomla is easy as 1, 2, 3. In the first session, we covered content. We covered planning, installation, and content. In this session, we're going to talk about features. Now, Joomla is feature-rich. There are over 700-800 extensions at the Joomla extension directory, and there are more than that out there as well. In Joomla, when you want to add a feature to your website, you're looking at an extension. There are 5 kinds of extensions in Joomla. Now, this is where it gets just a little bit confusing for most new people. So again, I want to make this as simple as I can. Features are extensions. There are 5 kinds of extensions. Components are big pieces of software, like a contact management software, like a big photo gallery software. Like JCE adds a whole new level of content editing ability. Like Community Builder is a massive component that adds basic Facebook functionality to your site. And there are many, many extensions like this. I just finished a website for a guy who is an online counselor. There's an extension called Appointment Booking Pro, and it's a component that allows people to come onto the site and book appointments with the people who run the site. And it's for hairdressers, lawyers, and in this case, online counselors. So those are components. Modules are awesome. Small scripts, menus, articles in sidebars, and things like that. Think of modules as a way to place stuff, whatever stuff you got, into the sidebars and footers and headers of your site. In my mind, this is one of the reasons I use Joomla. Because the modules, you can put modules anywhere, for anyone, at any time, in any scenario. So you can customize the look and feel, you can customize the stuff on your site, the content in your sidebars, for Joe from Phoenix or Susie from Toronto, who comes in January or September. And the entire outside regions of your site, outside the content area, can be completely customized in Joomla using some module extensions. Templates change the site design. Plugins are little pieces of code that do miracle things. I call plugins magic in Joomla, and I'll explain that in just a moment. And then finally, languages are technically extensions. So if you're running a multilingual site, that is part of the 5 extensions or features of Joomla. Think of it this way. The components that you add to your website are like the engine for your car. The modules are like the dashboard. They display information. And I just had a Ford Taurus in as a rental car for the first time. I'm blown away. I have a 10-year-old Volvo, for heaven's sakes. This Taurus had more information coming at the driver than you can shake a stick at. That's like a module. Plugins are like the spark plugs. They help make the thing go. And then templates are the paint jobs. And of course, languages are whatever you want your dashboard and paint job to present as far as the language. The extensions are found at extensions.joomla.org. Can't recommend enough that this is where you start looking for extensions. However, most often I just Google, to be honest, because Google is your friend. And if you type in Joomla and then describe the thing you want to do, more often than not, it will find the page at the extension directory that will take you to the right spot. The extension directory search is good. It's very good, actually. But I just find that sometimes finding them in Google is just a little bit easier. The extension directory currently has over 7,800 extensions for Joomla 2.5 and 3. And which means, again, all of those are features. Now, not all of them are different. There's about 200 extensions that will do slideshows. So picking and choosing an extension can be a little bit of a task. So here's what I'm going to recommend you do. When you go to the extension directory and you're looking at an extension that you think you might want to try, here are 6 things you need to look at. What is the rating? Now, I have the JCE screen up there. It's rated 4.59 out of 5 by 460, or from 83 users, it has 461 reviews. That's significant. Now, when you're looking at those reviews, however, you want to make sure that you're looking at the reviews for the current version of the extension. It's kind of like the App Store. When you look at some of the reviews for older versions of the app, they might not be quite as flattering. The next thing you want to look for is compatibility. Joomla 1.5 extensions cannot be used in a 2.5 or a 3.0 site. So you need to make sure that the extension that you want to use is available for your version of Joomla. Right now, 2.5 or 3. Is it commercial or non-commercial? So let me just, Vic did a great job this morning of giving us the overview of the volunteer scenario in Joomla. But not all Joomla products are free. And I don't have a problem with this. The last time I bought a CMS was $25,000. This was about 10 years ago at the place I was working. We spent a year and a half developing it. The day we launched, they went bankrupt. I'm not kidding. I walked into the vice president's office. I said, Dale, how do you like the new website? Oh, Rod, love it. It's great. Awesome. Dale, how much do you like me? Oh, Rod, you're great. Great job. Dale, they went bankrupt this morning. Yeah, not my finest day. We spent over $100,000 getting this website up and running, and they went bankrupt. That's not going to happen with Joomla. So when an extension developer says, would you mind giving me $25 a month or a year for this extension? I go, no problem. Even $400 or $500 to me is no big deal. I almost always recommend the pro versions of everything. You get better support and more features. And in general, a website, if you bought them all for one site, it's still going to cost you less than probably $500 in extension management. I can't recommend that enough, and I'll talk more about that. What kinds of extensions are they? And they're listed up there at the top left. C for component, P for plugin, S for specific extension-specific add-ons that are available. And again, that doesn't really matter, except that's where you find it later on once you've installed it. And then all the important links, the download, the demo, the support and documentation, and then, as I mentioned earlier, reviews. So finding your extensions is a matter of searching in Google and then using those 6 things to find out whether, hey, is this really the extension I want to use? Most of them have star ratings as well. The other thing you want to look for, if somebody does complain about an extension in the review area, does the author answer them and give them an answer? And that's a good indication of the kind of support you'll get. Understanding if the extension is free, the support may not be what you need, because the guy's obviously just throwing it out there. The person is just throwing it out there for you to use, and and they may not necessarily have the time to support it. Now that's becoming less and less in the Joomla community. So here's a quick video. When you click on Extension Manager, you're able to now with Joomla 3 actually install right from within Joomla, as long as you turn on that install from the web tab. When that's done, you get a listing of some of the most popular extensions for Joomla. I clicked on JCE, it brings up all the information about JCE. I clicked install, and just that quickly, I've installed this extension on my website. It's now available for me to use. Not all of the extensions are available in this little install from web, so sometimes I actually have to go click on it in the extension directory and download that extension to my desktop. Extensions for Joomla are not stored at extensions.joomla.org. They're stored at the person who developed them at their website. And so sometimes it's a little bit of hunt and peck. I have to download it, upload it, and enable it. So I want to go through my favorite 45. This is a presentation I give, 45 extensions in 45 minutes. We don't have 45 minutes, so I'm going to go and skip a few as we go. But these are the extensions that I reached out to Twitter and I said, what are your favorites? I threw some of my favorites in there. And I'll explain what each one of them does. And most of these I install by default. Okay? Because although Joomla is very powerful out of the box, it doesn't always have all the features that I want. Okay? So I'm going to try and leave room for questions at the end. We'll see how it goes. So this is not a scientifically researched list. It's just my list and Twitter. And I almost always recommend the pro versions of everything. So, number 1, A is for administration. I can't recommend this enough. Admin Tools from Akeeba Backup. It's a great extension. It costs $28 US, although if you bundle it with Akeeba Backup, it's about $50 US. Admin Tools gives you security, maintenance, watch, sniff, and catch. If you think your website's been hacked, it has a way of telling you, which is really cool, but it also has a whole bunch of tools at the pro level that prevent your site from getting hacked. Now, frankly, the best way to get your site hack-proof is to make sure your Joomla is always up to date, which I'll talk about in the next hour. It gives you some automation, some redirect tools, and some optimizing tools, but admin tools is one of those things I install on every site I ever build. Just from a security and an administration, it's really, really helpful. A is for access control. This is something I'll talk about in the next hour, but access control in Joomla can be very granular. You can set it up so a user who logs in can only access one article. Or I do a lot of nonprofit sites through the years, so if the board members have their own area on the site, Joomla allows me to set up an access control level for just the board members, so only they can see the articles that are assigned to that area of the site. And beyond that, access control basically just manages what a user can do and what a user can see. But it's a little confusing in the back end out of the box, so Access Control Manager is a $35 annual subscription that gives you a much simpler interface to manage all of your access control. If you have multiple people editing stuff on your site, or if you need to limit what people can see and it's free, i.e. you're not charging for content, then access control is something you have to know. You've got to learn it. In Joomla 3, it's amazing. Literally as granular as you want, down to one article even. So access control. B is for backup. If you don't have a backup for your website, you are nuts. I thought that was a nice way of saying it. If you don't back up your site, you're in trouble. Because when your web host goes down, or heaven forbid their hardware fails and they don't have a backup, which I would never trust my web host, then your site is gone. Because remember, from this morning's session, there are no files on your desktop you could just re-upload because it's a database-driven site. Akeeba Backup has a free version and a pro version. The pro version allows you to send your backup automatically to an FTP server, to an Amazon S3 server, to Dropbox even. And it has a whole bunch of more options like automatically doing it at certain intervals, scheduling it, et cetera, et cetera. Really, really awesome. This is how you move your site. Remember earlier I said a great way to build your site is right on your own desktop. You install Akeeba Backup. You take a backup, you send that backup to your live server somewhere, you restore that backup, and boom, your website is now online somewhere else. Can't recommend this enough. If you buy Akeeba Backup and admin tools together, they have a bundle deal. And it's the de facto standard for Joomla now in backing up your site. There really isn't anything that comes close. C is for community. Community Builder is one of the big components that does Facebook kind of community stuff. And that's really what it does. It's huge, it's awesome, and the guys behind it are really committed to seeing Community Builder go ahead and grow in the community. There are other extensions that do this. I think Community Builder is probably the better one. And it's free and open source, so there are no charges. You can get a pro support level. Again, if you're going to get really serious with Community Builder, recommend the pro version. They have a ton of add-ons that you get with the pro version. And boy, if you're, again, building a serious online community, then that's one of those things I highly recommend. C is for CCK, or Content Creation Kits. There are 4 of them I want to list. The first one is Cobalt. I've never used it, but it comes highly recommended, and a lot of people said I should include it. Flexi Content is another one. K2 is the de facto big one right now, kind of the standard one. What this allows you to do is to create custom content types with actual fields that you just insert data into. The advantage of that, of course, is I can actually publish those fields in different ways. So with Joomla out of the box, I get a title and a body, and so if I wanted an introduction thing, I can get the title, the image, and the introduction text. But what if I wanted to have, say, the date of the event that's in that content item? I can't pull that out of the body. So in those kind of cases, I would need to use a content creation kit or a CCK to add additional fields to my Joomla site. Now there are new extensions coming out all the time to extend this, and so this is one of the decisions you need to make early in the process. The other one is Zoo, again, highly rated, probably not as highly rated as K2. K2 has tons of add-ons, and it's built by JoomlaWorks, which is a very, very well-respected Joomla builder in the community. D is for Docman. If you need directories of information or PDF downloads and things like that, image directories that you can offer downloads for, Docman is really awesome. You get listings, you can track how many people have downloaded your PDF, you can restrict access by user levels, and you can even make it paid. So that's a pretty neat system for storing documents that can be downloaded by your users. E is for events. I love DT Register. It's not free, it's $75 per site, that is. But it allows you to have, again, custom fields, group registration, individual registration. It has having a 50s moment. Conditional fields, that's what I wanted to say. So if somebody says, I want a t-shirt, it'll drop down and say, what size would you like? And that does all of that included. Really, really good. Support isn't bad, although I've had my issues through the years, I will admit that. Every once in a while, Nathan gets just swamped, and the support is not as good as it could be. It's a one-man shop, but it really is good. E is for Event Registration Pro. Mike Carson, who I don't believe Mike is here, but this is his product. It's really good. It's $112 for the bundled Pro version. It does everything the other one does as well. If you want to set up a mailing list right out of your Joomla website, AC Mailing is the way to go. I personally use MailChimp, but AC Mailing does it really well. Of course, one of the problems with sending email from your website is that as soon as you start to flood your IP or your hosting service with emails, they will shut you down because they think you're a spammer. This manages that process by filtering them out 25, 50 at a time so your host doesn't get upset. It's really smart. F is for Forms. I'm a huge fan of RS Forms Pro. Just built a site in Joomla 3 for a nonprofit down in Kansas City. They have, believe it, a 10-page, 60-question form that when somebody finishes it, it actually adds them to their Joomla site, registers them as a user, puts all of the results of their form in their community builder profile, sends an email to them and the administrator of the site, and then takes them straight to their community builder profile so they can see their results. All built in RS Forms Pro, all drag and drop. Really an amazing extension. It's not free. It's between $30 and $135 depending on how much support you want to get. Another one is Chronoforms. It's $25 to $200 if you want to get the lifetime. I don't find it as intuitive or as easy as RS Forms Pro, but honestly, again, there's way too much information on that screen, but it's a great form builder. I've used it for years. My preference right now, though, is RS Forms. G is for Google. Who uses Google Analytics? Pretty much you all should. I mean, if you want to know anything about your site, this allows you to have your Google Analytics right inside your Joomla site. So you don't have to actually go to Google Analytics to see your stuff. You just you click a button and it just draws it right into the back end, the administrator end of your Joomla site, making it very convenient, and it's free. The age-old problem in CMSs. What shopping cart do I use? The de facto standard in Joomla 1.5 was Virtumart. That's pretty much been replaced these days by Hikashop or Hikashop, depending on how you want to pronounce it. You can get a free version, which is fairly limited. The Pro version, or the Ultimate Enterprise version, is $200. I paid $70 for the business version, and I'm quite happy with it. It does everything an e-commerce shop should do. It supports all of the payment plugins that I tend to use, Authorize.net, PayPal, etc. It's pretty easy to configure, and actually I'm supposed to generate a course on it at OS Training in the next couple of months, so if you hang around, there'll be a course on it there. But Hika or Hikashop, it allows for downloadable products free products as well as paid, shipping modules, USPS, UPS, pretty much whatever you want to do. There's no FedEx one yet. So if you use FedEx, you might have to look around for that. All right, this is the first of the NoNumber extensions. I got to ask Peter sometime where he came up with the idea of NoNumber. His website is nonumber.nl. His name is Peter Van Westen. He regularly has at least 4 or 5 extensions in the top 10. They are pretty much the most used extensions across the entire Joomla web sphere, if that's a word. This one is called Articles Anywhere. And when you asked that question about that, I went on and said you can insert articles in other articles. This is how you do it. Articles Anywhere allows you to grab an article and put it anywhere you want. Let's say I've built an article that I want to put in the sidebar of my site. Well, Joomla doesn't support that. You can't put articles in a module position or in the sidebar. However, with this, yes, you can. You can insert an article in a module, in any sidebar, any position on your site, or in another article. And so this is one of those de facto standards. I pretty much install this everywhere I go. With NoNumber extensions, there's a free version and there's a paid version. You can also get a lifetime license for about $600 US. Sounds like a lot, and it's pretty much one of the most expensive things in Joomla. Absolutely worth it if you build a lot of sites and use his extensions a lot, which you will. The pro versions are all worth it. I don't get a kickback. He doesn't have an affiliate link. So there's no value to me to say what I'm saying here today, except I wouldn't build a site without them. J is for JCE, duh. Already showed you how to install this. It's the Joomla content editor. And that's the default layout. There are some paid add-ons, again, very well worth it. They have an advanced media manager, an advanced image manager, a couple of other ones that I really like, but you don't need those per se. But the nice thing with JCE, you can set up profiles. And so if I have a content editor who is just basically managing content from the front end of my site, which I didn't show you in the first session, but you can do. You can actually manage all the content from the front end. You don't have to go to the back end. I could have just 5 icons up there. There's also a mobile profile. Joomla 3 is mobile friendly out of the box. So if I'm working on Joomla on my iPad, I obviously don't really want all of those buttons. I can have a profile that says when I log in mobily, just show me 10 buttons, my favorite 10 buttons, which is usually bold, italic, underline, image, insert, link, insert, and and full screen. Allows me to see the editor in full screen mode. That's about all I ever use. And honestly, that's all you really want to ever give anybody anyway, because tables are evil, as we know, although it does support tables. And allowing users to choose the font for your website is also evil. Again, Comic Sans Serif, are you kidding me? So you can strip all of those out. How many have a forum on your website? Anybody? Yeah, no, don't. If you do, this is the one you use. You don't need a forum. I had a client that insisted, need a forum, Rod, need a forum. I said, Rob, you don't need a forum. Oh no, online community, need a forum. All right, so fine. Installed Kunena. 4 years later, he had 20 posts. Hello. I said, Rob, did you really need a forum? No. At OS Training, we've had like 85,000 questions answered on our forums. We need a forum, so we use Kunena. This is one for if you're building a religious kind of site, and I threw this in here because I just think it's cool. It's a plugin. And what a plugin does is it allows you to use code to convert whatever's in the code to something else. For instance, YouTube. Curly bracket, YouTube, the ID number of the video, curly bracket / YouTube, converts that code into the YouTube video. As big as you want, autoplay if you need. This one takes a Bible verse, John 3:16, and converts it into a link to the Bible Gateway, which is the de facto Bible software page out there. I just threw that in there because I think it's cool. M is for Module Manager. Okay, if somebody said to me, you get 5 extensions to add to your site, what would they be? JCE, number 1. Admin Tools, number 2. Akeeba Backup, number 3, Advanced Module Manager, number 4. I don't ever build a site without this. Because here's why. If you really want to customize your Joomla site, and you want to have information available for anyone, at any time, in any context, Advanced Module Manager is the one to get. So for instance, with the Pro version, I can say, Bill, coming from Atlanta, you see this module in the sidebar. Rod, coming from Toronto, you see this module in the sidebar. Oh, unless it's spring, and then you see this module. Oh, unless it's a Monday in spring, and you're coming from Toronto, then you see this module. But if it's Thursday, and it's winter in Atlanta, you see this module. It's mind-blowing. And it's not just that kind of stuff. It's a module on any page, any category, in any template, any layout. You can even do it via PHP. So if you know PHP, you can say, for argument's sake, if today is April the, whatever today is, the 5th, 4th, whatever it is. If today is April the 4th, show the module. Otherwise, don't show it. Advanced Module Manager gives you ability to show anything in the sidebars, anywhere, anytime. Unbelievably cool. This is a no-brainer for me. Yeah.
What's the difference between the free and the paid?
Okay, so the free gives you, the paid just gives you the additional GeoIP stuff, so by state or by country, and by season. There's a few time and location add-ons for that. The PHP is in the Pro version, it's not in the free. The free version's really good, but really the Pro version's worth it, if that's important to you. This is more of a Joomla 2.5 thing. If your website has a template that's not mobile out of the box, so it's not responsive, then Mobile Joomla will create a mobile version of your site. Really good extension. I prefer to use a responsive design, so I don't have to mess with that, but this one's pretty good.
What was your 5th? You named 4 of the 5.
Oh, gee, shouldn't have said that, should I? What would be the 5th one? I might come to it. Let me think about it. Actually, it would probably be, well, no, I'll think about that. redMigrator, migrating from Joomla 1.5 to 2.5 is a nightmare. And I'll be honest with you, because now I'm on the board, which is really cool. I did not expect that, the OSM board. The biggest problem in Joomla was the switch between 1.5 to 2.5. The migration path is a nightmare. It's about the worst thing Joomla ever did as far as managing the process. Everybody says it. I'm just saying it out loud for the video. I'm not dissing anybody that did it because it had to be done, but wow, we lost market share. redMigrator is a great tool to ease that pain. It will take your Joomla 1.5 site and migrate it to 2.5 or 3 really pretty well. And it does a good job. It just can't do the template because templates are totally different, and it can't do your extensions because, again, an extension in 1.5 doesn't work in 2.5. But it'll migrate the data for you, and it does a pretty good job. JUpgrade is another one in this area that I would recommend looking at, and another one is SPUpgrade. So there are 3 migration tools. Each one has its strengths and weaknesses. You'll want to look at each one to decide if you have to migrate a site. I usually recommend getting some professional help on that, to be honest. If it's a pretty simple site, that's one thing. Most Joomla sites need more help than that. All right. N is for NoNumber. Twitter told me to say this. A bunch of people on Twitter said, look, don't dilly-dally with all the individual extensions. Just say, go get them all. So it's up there. It's about $650 for life. Every new extension he adds, you get automatically, and every update is available for free. And he has a really cool module or extension manager where all of his extensions you can see. You can install and uninstall right from one screen and update all from one screen. $650 for life. There you go. O is for modals. Do you know what a modal pop-up window is? It's when you click on a link and the video kind of pops up into a little window and everything else goes dark. That's a modal pop-up. He has an extension for that as well, does it really well. one of the trickier things in Joomla is to make a main menu item pop up in a modal. And I've had a number of clients ask me to do this. So they've got a video link in their main menu, but they don't want it to go to a page. They just want that link to go whoop. Modals can do that. The Pro version, this is pretty cool, can load information in a modal pop-up the first time you go to that page or go to that site, but the next time it won't. So it sets up a cookie and establishes that. Community Builder subscriptions is a way to get paid content on your site. It works with Community Builder. It's also free now, but support costs a bunch of money if you need support. So again, if you're going to have paid content on your site, this is probably one of the better ways to do it. There are several others. This is the one I like. Pay plans is another one that does it. I've not used this. Again, it's got pretty good reviews, so I included it here. It's more graphically pretty than CB subscriptions. CB subscriptions is really complex. But I have had a client, he's no longer my client, but he had 40 different plans. Can you imagine registering on a website and being confronted with 40 different plans? It was insane. It's one of, I love them. They're a great nonprofit, and they do great work, but wow, that was crazy. Sorcerer, again, this is another one that I install pretty much everywhere. You cannot put PHP, iframes, JavaScript inside of a content item if you're using JCE. Now, you can if you set it up properly, but out of the box, it doesn't work. Sorcerer, if you turn this on, allows you to put CSS, JavaScript, any kind of HTML right into your content using little curly brackets, so JCE knows not to strip it out. I don't recommend using PHP inside articles because that gets a little scary, but because that's the programming language that Joomla is built in. But if you know PHP and you're the only person that manages your site, then fine, go ahead. SH404 is the de facto standard for search engine optimization and campaigns on your website. It's Victor's product, so you can talk to him about it a little bit more if you want. It's $39 for the year for a subscription. Well worth it. In Joomla 1.5, this was one of my must-haves. In Joomla 3, it's not so much, but it's still a really, really great extension for search engine optimization. One of the things it does really well is it does human-friendly URLs. I don't know if you've noticed in Joomla, the URLs are ugly if you don't turn that on, but even when you turn it on, it still adds the item ID or article ID to the URL, which ticks me off. I don't like that. I want to be able to say, go to the About Us page, so mysite.com/about-us. SH404 makes that happen for you. S is for Sobi Pro. Business directories, online directories of any kind. Sobi Pro kind of goes along with DocMan. It's a fairly mature product. It's free, but there's paid support as well. S is for snippets. This is something we use at OS Training a lot. You're able to load content or things into your articles, again, using plugins like videos and things like that. What Snippets does is it allows you to manage all of those in one place. And so Snippets says, fine, you want to load a YouTube video in? That's no problem. Just put the code for the YouTube video in a snippet and then load that snippet into as many articles as you want. We do it with JavaScript code and a bunch of other ways. It's just a nice way to manage all of that stuff you want to insert into your articles that you wouldn't just type in normally, and it manages it in one place. One more religious one, because I do a lot of most of my clients are nonprofits, and we do this on our church website. S is for sermons. Preachit is awesome if you've got a church website you're building and you want to put your sermons online. It's just a great podcasting tool specifically though for sermons out of a church. T is for tabs, another NoNumber extension. It's easy to have beautiful tabs on your site. So there's the code that makes it work. And it's brain dead simple to build a beautiful tabbed layout right in an article using tabs from NoNumber. There's several others like that. You can search them out. T is for toolbar. I got to throw one OS training one in here. This allows you to have all of our online training videos right inside your Joomla website. It's a subscription thing. So you can get some of the videos for free, but if you want all of them, and basically it's contextual help in the back end of your Joomla website. So if you want to hear my silky smooth voice on your website every once in a while, you can go ahead and get this and watch our training videos, some of which I haven't done, so you can hear other people's silky smooth voices. This is a no-brainer. If you manage more than 2 or 3 or 4 sites, can't recommend this enough. It will save you hours. Right now, I have about 25 sites on this. V is for Victor, who gave our keynote this morning. His company is Watchfully, or his website is. Basically, you set up your sites on this. You install a component. You give them it takes access to the website that you're managing, and you can update all of your extensions in Joomla from one place. Oh, I can't tell you, if you're managing multiple sites, how much time that will save you. Not all extensions can be updated this way, because this is something fairly new in Joomla. Joomla 2.5 started the process of allowing you to have what's called a Joomla updater, and if they support that, then you can use this. It'll also schedule your Akeeba backups for you, and you can manage all of the updates for all of your websites from one place. It'll also run security scans from Securi, which is the #1 Joomla security website. And again, all of those kinds of things. It'll even track your server status for you. So if your server goes down, you'll get an email from them right away. You get daily emails just telling you that your sites are okay, or you've got updates, and et cetera, et cetera. It starts at $5 a month for 5 sites. I think I'm paying $19.95 for 25 sites right now, and I've got more than that, but none of my other clients want to pay for it. So $75 for, I think, over 100 sites, and it goes up from there if you want to do more. Can't recommend this enough if you have more than a few sites to manage. This is always a popular one. What's the best video player? No question, hands down in Joomla 3, all videos from Joomla works. It's responsive out of the box. If you have a responsive web design, then it creates a responsive video player for you. No matter what platform, no matter what device you're watching your video on, it will shrink and resize to the right one. That alone is worth the price of admission right there. It's free, and it's the de facto standard for Joomla 3. There are others, and very good players. This is by far my favorite video player. And I shouldn't say that too loud, because OS Training just released OS YouTube and OS Vimeo players, but forget it. Stick with this one. All right, X is for XMap. You always want to submit a sitemap to Google. Whenever you create a website, this generates the sitemap for you. You give Google the URL, and you're good to go. No brainer. It's all automatic, and it's free. Y is for the Warp framework. And I only throw this in here because theming frameworks are becoming more and more popular in Joomla. This is one of the best ones. They got the 2013 J and Beyond Award. So I've not actually used it. I use the T3 framework from Joomla Bamboo myself, and I'll talk more about that in the next hour. And then finally, Z is for zip. You have to understand, Peter is kind of a weird character. He has an extension that does nothing. Absolutely nothing, and it costs €1. People actually buy this extension and then complain that it does nothing. Hello? Read the documentation. I can't stress that enough with any extension you're looking at. Before you buy it, download it for free, whatever you're doing, read the documentation, because here's the deal. In open source, who can you sue? That's right. You're responsible for what you put on your website. There's nobody to sue. Just go look in the mirror. When he told me that, I laughed. I laughed and laughed. Seriously, people get mad. People actually pay €1 for it, first off. And then they get mad at you because it does nothing? Hello? You know. So, but it's kind of cool. So $137 will get you an extension that does absolutely nothing.
That epitomizes PT Parham statement, doesn't it?
Certainly does. So I have done this several times in several different Joomla days like this. So here are some others that were mentioned by the users in the room. CiviCRM is a massive customer retention program, very popular in governments. There's a hook into it for Joomla. Core PHP has a thing called WordPress for Joomla. Why you would want to put WordPress in your Joomla site, I've got no idea. Yeah, I've never been able to figure that one out. Calendar programs, Gcal or Ohana is a new one that's actually getting really good reviews. Take a look at Savvy Panda's list of top 100 extensions. RS Events is the same company that does RS Forms. It's not free. J Events is free, and it's a very, very full, rich calendar extension. So if you want to start with a free one, J Events is a really good one. We use it in a couple of sites. FormStack Zoolander is the place to get zoo plugins. Cloud Hotelier, I have no clue what that is. Of course, SH404, and then Facebook Fanbook, and then some others. Cache Cleaner from NoNumber. EasyBlog is an add-on for Joomla that basically kind of copies WordPress's system of blogging. It's becoming very popular in Joomla. WidgetKit, Hotspots, which is a Google Maps thing. OS Content, which I mentioned in the first session. And My Joomla is a security feature, but again, I use admin tools for that. So, content, features, and design. Joomla is as easy as 1, 2, 3, knowing that you're completely overwhelmed at this point. What questions do you have about features and extensions?
What do you recommend for images?
What do you mean?
Like if you want to do slideshows, or you want your front page to pan in.
Yeah, there's a gazillion of those. Front page slideshow is a good one, but it's not responsive out of the box. Boy, what is the one? JSlider. Does that sound right? That might be one. Honestly, a lot of templates are coming with slideshows, ability to have slideshows. Like Joomla Bamboo templates have a thing called the it just went right out of my mind. They've got an extension that comes with their template that allows you to build slideshows out of content or images or anything. And most of the big template designers are building those in right now. But yeah, you look in the Joomla extension directory, that is one category where there are a lot of options. Most of them for Joomla 3 are now paid, but that one, I think it's called JSlider, is still free. And it actually is really, really good. It'll grab your content or your images. So if that's not it, I'll look it up on the break and make sure I get the name right. Sir?
Google Calendars, Google Calendars events and stuff like that.
Yeah, Gcal, there's an extension called Gcal. And again, there's another one where there's several, but that's a pretty simple extension. So again, look at the reviews and look at the stars for that one. And that has its own category in the extensions directory. Let me just bring that up real quick. I don't think I have anything else here. No. Under calendar and events, there'll be a whole bunch of Gcal or Google Calendar ones that allow you to do that. Other questions? We can talk about recommendations all day long. My concern is, do you understand the principle behind extensions in Joomla? They add features to your Joomla site. There are 5 kinds. Components that are big programs like event calendars, registration programs, things like that. Modules that show your information in the sidebars and other module areas of your site. Plugins that do magical things like convert YouTube code into the video or the Bible verse into a link to Bible Gateway. Templates which change the look and feel of your site, which we're going to deal with in the next hour. And then languages, which I didn't touch on at all. Yes?
Would most of these that you talked about be for 3.0 or 2.5?
All of these are 2.5 and 3.0 compatible. Yeah, that was one of my rules in selecting those 45. Yeah. If you go to slideshare.net/ImRodMartin, IMRODMARTIN, that part of today's presentation is available as a separate download. It's called 45 and 45, a walk through the Joomla extension directory. So slideshare.net/ImRodMartin. But I'm going to post all of these slides at the same place by the end of the day. So you'll have it there. At slideshare.net/I'mRodMartin. Yeah, I'll just put them there. But they're going to have the video available as well. Very welcome. Any other questions about extensions or adding features to your Joomla site? Let me ask you a question then. How do I know what an extension does?
Read the document.
Thank you. Read the documentation, right? We are notorious for skipping that part. Well, we'll just install it and fiddle, right? Hello. That's not necessarily the best way. Now, if it's on your local host, who cares? Install 1,000 extensions. When your site goes live, have only what you need, not one extension more. When an extension comes with an update. Okay? Last year, JCE, most popular extension for Joomla, developed a little bit of a bug. They announced it, they fixed it, they patched it, they said, everybody update. A lot of people didn't update. Wow. Hacked sites everywhere right around February of this year, or of last year, because people didn't pay attention. So I often will get on the mailing list for every extension that I download and use. That way I know what's going on. There's also at or at community.joomla.org, there's an email list that will get you, that will tell you anytime there's a vulnerability found anywhere. That's a really good list to get on. I think it's at community.joomla.org, but it might be at security. Go to joomla.org and just search for the vulnerabilities email list, and that'll find it for you.
If some extensions comes with the company's watermark, so that way you don't want to show the company, what do you?
Most companies will do that. If they offer a free version, they'll say, please don't remove the footer, like Chronoforms does that, right? Then it's a moral issue. If you want to remove the footer, it's pretty simple. You just go into the code and remove it. But then just go pay for it, and they'll remove their stuff. If they don't want to remove their watermark, even if you've paid for it, find another extension. Yeah, I don't know of any extensions currently that would do that. If you pay for it, they're more than willing to allow you to remove their stuff. Template designers, all of those people. Because, again, read the documentation, it'll tell you in there. And every once in a while, there are jerks out there, right? I mean, this is the world, we're people, and we don't always act properly. So there have been cases in the past where Joomla extension manufacturers do evil things, like backlinks and stuff that you don't necessarily see. The Joomla extension directory has really tried to do a really good job to weed those out. You won't find them there anymore. And if you do, report them. Yeah?
Do you get an alert in the dashboard if you have an extension on your site that needs an update?
Great question. Do you get an alert on the dashboard if you get an extension that needs to be updated? It depends. If the extension uses the Joomla updater, yes. If it doesn't, no. So that's one thing you want to pay attention to and get on their email lists for. So for instance, JCE does. If I come over to my website that I installed this morning and click on the home link, down here at the bottom, it's going to check my Joomla installation and check the extensions. This is Joomla 3. 2.5 does it a little differently. I may not be online. Am I online? Yes, I'm online. Yeah, there we go. So I have an update. I had an old version of Joomla that I installed this morning on purpose. And so there I could click, all my extensions are up to date. Well, I just downloaded JCE, so that makes sense. I can click on the Joomla update, click install the update. Don't do this without a backup. Don't do this without a backup. Don't do this without a backup. It's going to install. And if you have the pro version of Akeeba Backup, it takes restore points in your website. So technically you don't need a backup, but don't do this without a backup. And so now I'm completely up to date in Joomla 3.2.3. So great question. It depends. But Joomla will always tell you if it has an update or not. Guys, it's after the hour again. Let's take a 5-minute break. Grab another coffee if you want. We'll come back and start a little bit in a little bit. And the last session is on design.